Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Wake and Take. It's your boy Jason, and we've got some football to talk about today. And today we've got a great one lined up, as it's not just me yapping. We've got the Alan Seslowsky joining the show to give our reactions to last night's game, talk about some of the biggest storylines from this week, as well as the lessons that we've learned so far this season and what we're kind of expecting the rest of the year. It's going to be a good one. Always a good one when Alan joins the show. So go ahead and take out your coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Alan, how's it going?
Is that pumpkin flavored coffee? Please don't tell me that. Please.
No, Jason. This is regular coffee in a pumpkin mug.
That's fair. That's fair because pumpkin flavor. Well, I mean, for coffee, that would be disgusting.
I'm not going to lie. Yesterday I went to Starbucks before Wake and Take to get the pumpkin cream cold brew. I treat myself to that every once in a while. Everyone listening, get that. It's really
hold on. Here's the real test. Are you a pineapples on pizza guy too? Is that what you're going to tell me next?
No, but I will say this. I had it for the first time a couple years ago, and I didn't hate it. I'll never have it again. I don't like hot pineapple, but it wasn't as offensive as I thought it would be.
Yeah, this is exactly how I feel about anal, by the way. You know, I've done it once. It's enough. I didn't like how it felt when they did it to me. No, just kidding. Pineapple pizza, non-conventional sex. You know, it's all in the same wing here.
What's that saying? Pizza is a lot like sex.
When it's bad, it ain't that bad.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. There's a pizza shop in my college that had that sign right behind the counter. I loved it. Good stuff. You are also bringing in Trip. Loves a good Alan episode. Everyone here is happy to see you. We're excited to have you, Alan. I want to know, we had Thursday Night Football last night. How you feeling? How you feeling this morning?
Terrible, because I just overpaid for Jordan Mason. No, because I needed a starter in a bunch of dynasty leagues. So here was the situation with Jordan Mason in dynasty, right? Like, nobody wanted to pay a first. Nobody wanted to sell for a second, right? So, like, what the hell do you do if you want him? And a bunch of teams that were sitting in the bottom three had him. So what I had to do, Jason, was I had to overpay with a first, another player, so I can get Mason for a second. So that was the deal. I gave someone a first for Jordan Addison, and they gave me Mason for a second. So basically I paid a first and a second for the two Jordans. Not great, not bad, but it's terrible now that he's hurt.
Yeah, awful now that he's hurt. Hopefully it's not too bad. These shoulder injuries could go so many different ways, so I'm sure we'll have some sort of information on this. The only concern there would be, of course, that when he is healthy, what if Christian McCaffrey's back?
Because it's not if. He's coming back, right? And now Isaac Guerrero proved that he's a capable back too. 99 yards, obviously could have had the touchdown. Why the hell did he do that? They ended up scoring a couple plays later anyway, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it looked like he got caught from behind, kind of a little tripped up, but then he comes out after and says he slid to not.
No, he did slide.
Yeah.
In the replay, he slid. He replayed.
Yeah. So I don't know. And then I would be pissed. I'm not going to lie. If I'm a rookie, can ice the game like that in one of my first, times actually having full action, and I just slide, and then the damn fullback takes my touchdown.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the big takeaway there, I think, is the Jordan Mason tilt, because he was this year's Kyren Williams, right? Like, I know that's kind of like a funny cliche, but we picked him up in either he was drafted super late in a late draft, or he was the number one priority pickup, and basically he's been, a top 5 running back. And Jason, last year, Kyren Williams missed a month at a time also, so the story is still yet to be told.
Yeah, he could easily turn it around. It's we'll see. Maybe Christian McCaffrey will come back and have his load managed or something. And I gotta say, Shaka Zulu in the chat had the exact opposite. So we're having a little bit of the duality of man here. They were able to trade Jordan Mason for Kenneth Walker before this game. So shout out to you.
Is that in a redraft? That has to be a redraft.
It has to be redraft. Yeah, there's no way it's dynasty or just really lucky in dynasty. Maybe someone really, really wanted Jordan Mason.
No. But so let me ask you this, Jordan Mason, because this is the story for fantasy from last night. I mean, there's a couple other things, but this is the main one.
Yeah.
So let's say McCaffrey comes back, right? Like, and Jordan Mason's an unrestricted free agent next year. He could sign anywhere. And let's say Mason shows he's healthy. I mean, do you think that Mason actually has a career as a starting running back in the NFL? Have you seen enough from him, or do you think it's Shanahan's system?
I think that the Shanahan system would play against him in negotiations with future teams. I think that would definitely make it difficult for him to earn the money that he's worth. But I could see
skills though.
Yeah, but yeah, I could see him kind of taking the like Alexander Madison, Zach Moss, maybe Miles Sanders type career route but hopefully not as bad as Miles Sanders in Carolina.
Yeah, no, Zach Moss is a good one. I like that. Like where he's kind of a mercenary back for a year. You know, he definitely showed like he's a tough runner, right? And that he can do some things. And I mean, you know, you're happy if you if you drafted Zach Moss, it's going well so far. So I don't know. I'm just pissed off about this paying a second round pick for him. And then I had 1 week of bad. He had 8 points last week. And then this week, obviously, I'm probably not going to have him for a month now.
Well, and now we know why things fell off, why the Jordan Mason train fell off the tracks is because you traded for him. So thanks, Alan, ruining all our fantasy teams. So on the Seahawks side of the ball, I kind of just want to talk about Kenneth Walker at 8 receptions. 8 receptions for Kenneth Walker. This guy is looking like he's feeding families right now. Was he one of the better running back values heading into the season?
Oh yeah, I mean he actually moved up to the 3rd round in some of these like last minute drafts. But you're right, like all off season long, he was a 4th, 5th round pick. He was one of the right answers. He probably would be like the 3rd or 4th running back drafted if we started our drafts over today, Jason. And Walker, he did a lot of that damage on that last drive, right? He had like 3 or 4 receptions, which by the way, that counts. You know, yeah. This is the role that I thought Zach Charbonnet was going to play and take it away from him. The Walker thing, it's weird because there's 2 types of like elite running backs in the NFL. There's like the Terrell Davis. You remember him from a bunch of years ago where he would just grind out like 8 yards, 6 yards, 5 yards, 13 yards, 15 yards, 5 yards. Whereas, what's it called? Our guy here, he is more like Barry Sanders, where it's like 2 yards, -1 yard, 40 yards, right? Kenneth Walker. So I mean, you have to have a certain, I'd rather the guy who just grinds out all these like positive plays. But look, if you have Walker, he's a home run hitter. You start him every week. And obviously the receptions are a nice bonus.
Yeah, I'm ecstatic. I was a big Kenneth Walker guy. I'm an old school NFL fan, maybe mid school, because the like mid 2000s Maurice Jones-Drew, Jerome Bettis kind of era. I love running backs, especially Kenneth Walker type running backs. I don't know what it is, just something about those types of players. So I was drafting probably too much Kenneth Walker. It hurt me at the beginning of the season, but hopefully stays healthy the rest of the year. We can get back on track here.
You love running backs and Ryan Flournoy.
I love running backs and Ryan Flournoy. There we go.
A wide variety of fantasy players right there. By the way, he's go ahead.
Well, yeah, he was on the field last week. I think 13% of snaps and had a couple of run blocks. So hopefully he's trending in the right direction.
If he scores a touchdown, even in my best ball league, man, I'm going to be waiting for the victory laps.
Oh, I'm trying to still plan the dance party, the victory lap, because I've kind of been thinking maybe I will grow my hair until he scores, something like that. Like just like really, really lean into this Ryan Flournoy.
Don't use your man groomer until he scores.
There we go. The misses might be upset.
Not that hair. Oh, okay. I got you.
All right, man. Well, this was some good conversation on Thursday Night Football. I don't want to talk about the other players. Actually, yes, I do. Deebo Samuel, awesome. We love a good Deebo Samuel touchdown. But I went up against Brock Purdy and George Kittle, and I don't want to think about that anymore. Yep. I want to move on.
One last note on that is I know Brandon and I had the big week last week, but he's a bust for fantasy, right? Like there's no way you're taking him in the 3rd round if we started today again. It's just too inconsistent. Yeah. Okay.
And that was one of the takes I got the most flack on. I was telling people to not draft Brandon Ayuk, and they were like, "Why? He's so good." I don't know. It's just it didn't make a lot of sense with this whole holdout and everything. Now, did you see last night? Kind of off topic, not good analysis here, but he was the only 49er to wear red socks. They were in the all white yesterday. Every single player But Mr. IU, good old Brandon, just had to wear the red socks to be different. And I think that's why he's not doing well.
Do you remember he had the social media video that went viral about he was wearing the wrong shorts a couple weeks ago? Did you see that one? Yeah, so there was a video where he was wearing red shorts. Everyone else was wearing black shorts. I don't remember what it was, but you clearly see Kyle Shanahan go up to him, kind of like, saying, dude, what's going on? You couldn't hear anything, but you saw the body language.
Yeah.
And then you saw Brandon Ayuk like throw his helmet down, take his shorts off, put on the other shorts. So when you said I thought you were about to talk about this other video. This happened a few weeks ago also with the shorts.
No, just last night. It seems he's just not a big team player right now. So, hey, maybe that's a sneaky trade candidate still. We'll see. Where the trade deadline is getting nearer and nearer. Now, let's move on to some of the big changes coming around the league, and we'll start at the quarterback position. We've got 3 quarterbacks making their first start of this year, and I kind of want to briefly get some of your expectations here, and you could answer if you're starting or sitting them or just in general, however you want. But we'll start with Drake May. What are your kind of expectations for this in New England?
Okay. So I'm going to throw this question back to you for a second, and then I will promise you I will answer this question. Are you on team sit your rookie quarterback or on team throw him in there, dude? We drafted you in the top 5. Let's see what you got under the craziest conditions. Where do you lie and why?
So to me, it's going to come down to situation. For this particular one, I like how the Patriots have played it, and I think they're pulling the plug maybe 1 week too early. I would have liked maybe next week against the Jaguars or something instead of the Texans defense. But I think when you're this bad of a team, I'm not really a big proponent of the killing the confidence thing, especially if you have a good coaching staff and good players around you. I think Bryce Young, unfortunately, last year was thrown into the situation too early, but that didn't have the support system either to help his mentality, to help his confidence level. Whereas I believe that Gerard Mayo is kind of a leader of men. And I'm sure that he's going in there as the rest of the team to just support Drake May. Just go in there, learn, get acclimated to the game, do what you do best, and we'll work on the fundamentals throughout the year. And I think if you set those kinds of expectations for your rookie quarterback, it's a good thing. I do. Right. So I wanted them to do this maybe next week, but ultimately I like that they sat him for a little bit, but I think you've got to throw your rookie out there at some point.
All right. Now here's the other side of the view of the coin here. You're a great podcaster, right? You've become a great podcaster. I watch your show. I've told you a million times because you've done it 10,000 times. What if they would have said, hey, why don't you sit there and watch Podfather podcast before we give you a podcast, right? Just watch him. No, that's not how you learn podcasting by podcasting. Now, I know 350-pound athletes that could run a 4.3 coming at you is way different than podcasting. I understand there's more hazard. But point is, in my judgment, and again, this is just my opinion, is that you learn by doing the thing, not by watching the thing. Now, if you are someone whose confidence is going to crumble because things aren't going well, if you're David Carr, the brother, remember the brother was famously sacked a gazillion times, then if you don't have that mental fortitude as a top 5 pick to take like the bruises, then maybe you're not that guy anyway, right? Like you throw the guy into the deep waters, see if he can swim. If he survives this stuff, then I think that those type of like proverbial scars help the guy. Now, listen, this has been debated since, for the old school guys, they sat. Right? Like Patrick Mahomes is famously sat for a year, but I also argue, what if they played Patrick Mahomes? Maybe they would have won the Super Bowl instead of getting out deep into the playoffs. So I'm glad they're doing it now, but there's nothing more valuable, Jason, than a rookie contract. We got to know if he's good right away, because by year 3, these guys already want a contract extension, right? So we have to know right away if they're good. Good examples of this is like cutting bait right away with Trey Lance, right? Like Zach Wilson probably, you knew a year before that, but they gave him 1 extra year. Now, if they would have sat the whole year, who knows? So anyway, I'm for throwing the guy in there. I expect Drake May to light up this offense a little bit. Like he's got, the cool thing about him was if you look at those college stats, the 1,100 rushing yards over the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. So best comparable on Player Profiler is, do you know who his best comparable is?
It's Without Josh looking, Allen, right?
You got it. You got it. It's Josh Allen. That means something to me. That means that, if he could play like hair on fire, YOLO ball, that's at least makes the Patriots watchable, Jason.
That's exactly what I'm expecting. And my kind of take from this offseason was that every rookie quarterback in the first round got the right landing spot. Caleb Williams makes a ton of sense for the Bears and what they're putting together. Jaden Daniels in Washington, what they're putting together. Michael Penix behind Kirk Cousins. Bo Nix with Sean Payton. J.J. McCarthy, if he didn't get injured, would have been so good. But Drake May in New England, they need a superhero. They need a Josh Allen, a guy who can do it all, play with their head on fire, and make some magic happen. It may not happen in year one. The wins may not happen, but there'll be yards. There'll maybe be some garbage time touchdown, and we'll see some life breathed into this offense. And I think that that's what's most important. So I am recommending go buy your Jalen Polks, go buy your Demario Douglases, and try to get Drake May too, because if he goes out there on Sunday and has 2-3 touchdowns, one of them even rushing, imagine just a rushing touchdown. He's going to go from QB 17 to like QB 13, QB 12, and it might not even stop there because we really overvalue the youth in Dynasty. So
you can't buy Drake May right now, right? Like it's the time to buy him was when he wasn't playing. Now that he's set for a start, it's too expensive. I actually, in one Dynasty league, offered it out. I didn't hear anything back. You know, Josh Allen has been down a little bit this year, right?
Yeah.
I offered Drake May in my first for Josh Allen. The guy didn't even respond. I mean, it's an interesting buy. If you were the Josh Allen owner and I sent you that, and you know, I'm like a top 5 team, so it's like, you know, 109, 111, just say, and Drake May. Would you accept that, or would you at least no?
Okay. No. I mean, if I'm trading Josh Allen, I want that King's ransom.
Right, but you're not getting it right now. That's the problem.
No, you're not. You may from someone in like a home league or something, but you are right. Like, especially, I mean, because you've gone from being like the Dynasty QB1 by a wide margin to now. I saw Jaden Daniels passed him on Keep Trade Cut just this week. So
if we were doing a Dynasty startup right now, who are you taking? Jaden Daniels 101 in 5 games in?
No, I can't do it because as good as he is right now, as well as he's playing, we do still have the size concerns. He is still like a very slight framed quarterback that is on paper injury prone. And obviously a lot of his play style will lead to that. He's running away from hits and he does slide often, but I do still think that concern is there. I think it's a little too early to crown him as the QB1. I mean, we didn't even do that with CJ Stroud, right? And he had like,
it's different. It's different. Yeah. Because Stroud he's a pure pocket passer. And
that is true.
Yeah, I mean, CJ Stroud reminded me a lot of like the Justin Herbert from the year before, right? Like where you're right. I just looked Jaden Daniels QB1 and Keep Trade Cut, and I don't hate it. If I had the 101, I would take him. You know, I would. I mean, I just sorry, I said Jaden Daniels, right? Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes you have to make that move before it actually happens, right? Now, if you're wrong, you would have taken him 2-3 picks later. What's the difference?
Yeah, no, I mean, I do agree there. Like in super flex drafts or just dynasty startups in general, I am a huge fan of, you know, kind of planting your flag and picking your guy, because this is your quarterback, right? Like you're going to have this man as the face of your franchise forever, pretty much. So you want to get your guy. So I don't hate planting the flag there. I just feel a little iffy about it yet, because they haven't really played a tough defense yet. I think this Ravens matchup will be a very big test for them this weekend. And shout out Memphis here in the chat. Memphis, I gotta have you back on soon, man. I'll DM you after the show. Now, another quarterback making their first start.
Are you booking guests in the middle of the show right now? That is unbelievable. I mean, that's you're booking, you're doing content. I mean, this is sick.
It never stops. It never ever stops.
You want to make any calls? Do you want to make any calls to your family while we're doing the show? Anything like that right now?
No, I'm feeding the bird over here, and I'm actually vacuuming with my left hand. I got a quiet vacuum.
Oh, that's what you're doing with your left hand. I thought,
Anyway,
keep it going.
Spencer Rattler making his first debut, and this is different, obviously coming in because of an injury, a much different scenario. But the Saints' offense has looked pretty good this season so far, so a lot of people are getting excited about Spencer Rattler. I'll go and say not on this show. I'm a little bit worried about what I've seen from him. But I do understand the expectations. What are you feeling about Spencer Rattler over the next couple weeks?
Okay, an NFL 5th round quarterback, right? Like, so you need to like start there, right? Like that's what the profile was. Now, again, we've seen guys like this come in that have been day 2, day 3 picks and look good, right? For one game. And then their warts show when there's more and more tape on them. So Spencer Rattler, man, I mean, he's got a lot of Baker Mayfield to his game, right? I know that's his best comparable, right? So, and there's upside there. And I don't think that, Derek Carr's like a good quarterback. He's probably like the next Andy Dalton, he's going to be the bridge to a lot of rookie quarterbacks in the next phase of his career. And that's fine. So if they're looking for a spark here, I expect Rattler to show signs of like, oh, wow, look at that, right? Like, but overall, I don't think him coming in as a rookie at age 24 is a bug. I think that's a feature, right? We see that with Jaden Daniels, guys that are a little bit more developed and, mature and have like in their athletic peak. So for a game or two, super flex, like, yeah, he was worth a bid if you have Tua, if you have one of these QBs that are on bye. So, and I also like, by the way, because I have a lot of Chris Olave, that he like made it a point to say, hey, I'm going to be targeting Chris Olave off the bus early and often. So Rashid Shaheed came in this week a little banged up. I'm sure he'll play. But yeah, man, this is more like I'm happy because I think Olave is going to see his first 10 or 12 catch game.
Yeah, I think Olave is the clear and big winner here. That I will agree with you there. What I saw from him at the Senior Bowl was a tendency to lock on to his first read that I assume would be Chris Olave. So I agree with you there. Chris Olave, I think, becomes a big start this week with Spencer Rattler at the quarterback. It's the Tom Savage corollary, if I'm podfathering correctly here. I think that one's right. So I'm not going to be starting him unless, like you said, I have an injured quarterback and I need to. I'm not expecting big things from him in the first week.
Let's go down the list. Let's go down the list. Would you start him over Will Levis?
No.
Okay. Would you start him over Aaron Rodgers against Buffalo?
No.
Okay. All right. Would you start him over Drake May?
No.
Okay. So you would start May. Okay. How about this one? Justin Herbert, who's this like no upside this year. Again, Herbert's playing at Denver. Would you start Rattler or Herbert?
I'll go Herbert.
Okay, here's one more. Rattler or Deshaun Watson at Philly?
I can't believe I'm saying this. I think I would go Deshaun too.
Okay, all right. So then you're really not feeling Rattler. Okay, this is the one then. Aiden O'Connell.
That is where I would go Rattler.
Okay.
I would go Rattler there. Aiden O'Connell is our next topic, and we can just go ahead and segue into there. He has no one to throw to. Devontae Adams not playing. Jacoby Myers popping up on the injury report. Zamir White probably out. I mean, I guess it'll be a Brock Bowers game. But from what we've seen from Aiden O'Connell last year, I mean, this is a guy who averages 12 points a game, and it's a stingy Chargers defense right now. I'm not. If I were in a Superflex league, I would put some wide receivers over Aiden O'Connell and probably Spencer Rattler this week is kind of how I'm playing it. Maybe running backs as well. But like, I'm not feeling good about either of those matchups this week. What about you with AOC?
I know you're doing exaggeration for clarification, but even of Aiden O'Connell, right, if he was ranked among wide receivers, he'd be like what, wide receiver 31, wide receiver 28, right? If he had, so I think unless you have like these, if you drafted like Jamar Chase, you got Chris Godwin. You have like 5 guys. So there comes a point where you have Aiden O'Connell's 10 or 12 point floor is better than what you would probably put in your flex, but your point is well heard, right? Like there's not a lot of upside. And by the way, I'm such on tilt about this Brock Bowers thing that the Jets had a chance to draft him and they did not. Yeah. That still is like sticking in my, my head. But yeah, Aiden O'Connell, limited upside, and you just nailed it with all the pass catchers out there. Do you think that this, like if you're desperate in some of these deep, crazy leagues, that Amir Abdullah is viable here?
I guess so. I mean, that was a big L last week for me, is Amir Abdullah over Dylan Laub. I mean, we've been kind of hoping for Dylan Laub to go out there and be the satellite back in Las Vegas, healthy scratch all year. Finally gets his opportunity, and it's Amir Abdullah, 32-year-old Amir Abdullah, just doing his thing.
Yep. So you have Abdullah, and then obviously, I think Alexander Madison for fantasy is like very startable. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to be like 6 or 7 catches for like 48 yards, but that's 11 points in a PPR, right?
Yeah, man, it'll be fine. That's crazy. It's interesting what's going on in Vegas. I want to go ahead and say, if we're going to be mentioning the Senior Bowl this morning, Carter Bradley, who is the backup to Aiden O'Connell now, was pretty impressive at the Senior Bowl. He is Gus Bradley's son. literally just the definition of a backup quarterback. But I think if he could go in, he would be fine. So if your guys are looking for a deep super flex stash, there you go. Carter Bradley. Seems they're done with Minshew. We'll see what they do with Aiden O'Connell. I'm sure he has a long-ish leash. What do you think about the way they played this situation, actually? Because this is what's kind of frustrating me is Aiden O'Connell earned the starting job last year, and they bring in Gardner Minshew for the competition or whatever. But if they were going to give Gardner Minshew such a short leash, I feel like they should have just started with the guy that they were with last year instead of going back to him, because I feel like they've kind of killed a little bit of the confidence to the kind of Drake May conversation earlier by benching him.
Yeah, and again, if you're killing a guy's confidence, you're a professional athlete. You have to have the thickest skin, and only the thickest skin or the most elite athleticism where it doesn't matter. So when you're in big boy ball, this is what happens. And here's what I believe could have happened: is that Antonio Pierce, he earned the extension because he came in as the interim coach and had some success. He does not strike me as the type of guy that's going to get a second chance if he fails in Las Vegas, right? Like, he's not like, oh yeah, he's not Mike Vrabel, right? So he's going to do what he believes is the best chance to win, because every win matters for him. It's he needs to have like playoff appearance to even be considered to get into that sphere of like as a decent head coach. If he has a 7-10 season, they miss the playoffs, he's fireable this year. We see head coaches all the time with a lot of time left on their contract just get clipped. And so, and it's the same thing for Callahan in Tennessee. Like, he does not strike me as a guy who's going to get a second opportunity. And that's why, we'll get into it maybe another time, but Mason Rudolph is a live asset in some of these super flex leagues. So yeah, I have no problem with they brought in Minshew. I thought Minshew was going to be capable as well, but you always knew, like, you almost want to, if you were drafting Minshew or Aiden O'Connell, you almost wanted the guy who wasn't starting, so you would have a best ball quarterback in the second half of the year, because you knew that whoever starting was going to get benched.
Yeah, I know. I was a big Gardner Minshew drafter. I love Gardner Minshew. I honestly think it's the persona of Gardner Minshew that sells me. I just love the guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be a great backup for years. Like, he's probably the 38th best quarterback in the league or something like that.
Around
right? Like,
there.
Yeah. I mean, who's the number one backup quarterback in the NFL right now? Like, if you're a team and you have a solid start, you have like an Aaron Rodgers, or you have something like, who do you want as your backup quarterback?
Based on what we saw last year, it's probably Jake Browning. Jake Browning did a really good job in Cincinnati. He's not going to lose you those games, really. Joe Flacco is another good one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's probably a starter worthy, right?
What a guy.
Yeah.
It's so fun what he's putting together.
Yeah. And then the other guy would be Carson Wentz, who's Patrick Mahomes' backup right now.
Yeah. I am curious to see what would happen if, like, the Chiefs, lock down the division and we get Carson Wentz like week 18. I'm curious to see how he'd look in that system, because that was a big fall from grace that Carson Wentz went through.
Yep.
Now, I want to talk very briefly, because I want to get into your takes for the rest of the season and stuff like that. But Nico Collins landed on IR this week. I've got 2 questions for you, maybe 3. Would you be buying Nico Collins right now?
Nobody's selling him.
Fair. So then would you pay the pre-injury Nico Collins price?
Yes. Right. Like, but what is that price, right? Like, would you, if we're doing a dynasty startup draft, 1 QB, right? So it's going to be all receivers that go. All right, let's go through it. It would be Jason Jefferson would go 1-2.
Yeah.
And then Malik Neighbors would probably be pick 3.
Yeah.
Right. And now Nico Collins is in play. It's him or Lamb, right? Depending on your flavor.
Yeah. Probably Lamb. And then, I don't know. I still feel like I have like a Monra, Marvin Harrison ahead.
Marvin Harrison would not go ahead of those guys. It would be, like you said, Amon-Ra. Now, you're right. Somebody might say, hey, I love the youth. You're right.
Yeah.
But it's Amon-Ra, it's Nico, it's Lamb. So if you want to pay the elite price, like, I never think it's worth doing that unless you're getting like a discount, which who the hell is. So like you said, but Rashee Rice was headed that direction too before the injury, right?
He was.
Yep. So why is Nico in that tier and Rashee Rice now isn't? You think there's no way Nico is going to fall to? Oh, because if Nico is out for the year, maybe he would fall.
Yeah, if he was out for the year, he would fall. But I think also with Rashee Rice, I mean, like, the Chiefs, I think that with Travis Kelce probably out soon enough, there's probably still in the market to draft another wide receiver next year. Xavier Worthy's only going to get better. They'll probably be able to sign Marquise Brown again for pretty cheap. And I know that didn't really affect Rashee Rice's production, but I think that you can just draw so many or come to so many ideas that the Chiefs would add another weapon even to keep away from Rashee Rice. And then you have the whole suspension thing too, which they're looking at trying to get it done this year while he's injured, which I don't really agree with. Like, it doesn't really seem like you're serving a suspension if you're injured, but
they're not going to do that. So I hear the same things you're hearing, but the NFL is trying to deter this drag racing thing. This isn't like hey, I was in a nightclub and got into a fight with another idiot that was bugging me. This is something that like is plaguing the NFL, this drag racing, especially leaving from the scene of the accident. They're going to want to punish him. They're going to want Roger Goodell's going to be like, oh, we'll tell you when the suspension is coming. They're going to want to see Rashee Rice play a full complement of games, and then they're going to act. They're not stupid, right? Like, so they're not going to be like, oh, he's been cleared by a doctor. Okay, go play. We're not haven't made our decision what we're doing yet, because by the new collective bargaining, they can institute this punishment anytime and any way they want.
Wow.
You're not getting away with it if you're Rashee Rice. You're not.
Good. I mean, good. He shouldn't.
Right. I agree with you. Again, I'm not a prude at all. Like, like a guy, even in the Josh Gordon, Martavius Bryant days, like when they were smoking weed, it's like, who cares? Right. Like, I mean, I always drafted the weed guy. You always want the weed guy. I mean, it's just like they fall for no reason, right? Because but in this particular situation, it's just like, yeah, man, it's like drunk driving, drag racing, that stuff affects other people. So
yeah, hit and run, like it's just
yeah. I mean, everyone makes mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're a young kid. I did stupid stuff when I was young, like crazy stuff.
I don't even want to know.
Yeah, no, you're very, very good. But I'm saying is like when it probably does need to be addressed.
I have never seen this before. Go Jin in the chat saying that Rice wasn't even there. I'm pretty sure there's video of him there. So I am curious.
Well, if he wasn't there, then he will be exonerated. I'm going on the assumption that he was, and you're right, innocent until proven guilty. Absolutely, 100%. But if that's the case, then I'm sure he'll be exonerated.
For sure. Now, back to the Nico. I just want to know your thoughts on Tank Dell, really, because this last week especially should have been the window for him to just go out there, catch some passes after Nico Collins got hurt, but was outperformed by basically everyone on that team. Not really getting any usage at all this year. Are you in panic mode with Tank Dell?
I mean, you didn't get what you paid for in the 4th or 5th round so far, right? So panic? No, because you've already seen it on an NFL field. Supposedly, this was the guy that C.J. Stroud was banging the table for. It's a long season, right? Like Tank Dell, we always knew was going to be a little volatile, right, Jason? So, I mean, what's good about Tank Dell, especially in like keeper dynasty, even redraft formats, if he does it one time, if he has a 6 for 80 and a touchdown, he's right back to where he was because we saw it last year. So, I mean, you're not happy with the pick, but you're not happy with Breece Hall. You're not happy with Bijan. There's a lot of guys that you're not happy with.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of season left. Don't panic yet with Tank Dell. If you could get him for a decent price, I would be doing it. I really hope that this window he turns it around.
Like you said, especially with Nico out, he's got to be getting 7-8 targets, right? I mean, unless I mean, you got to love Stephon Diggs too. Do you know? Okay, without looking, Stephon Diggs is wide receiver what on the year? Total points.
9.
You got it. You nailed it. Exactly. How the hell did you get that? That's crazy.
It's all in here.
Yep. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns in game 1. He had a rushing touchdown last week or the week before, whatever it was. And that helps. But you know what? Those points count.
Yeah, they do count. And he's killing it. He's playing really well. I mean, did you see Nico Collins said specifically that they're playing for Stephon Diggs this year? Like, that was an interview. He said they're doing it all for Stephon. A guy coming into the team the first year after being a quote-unquote locker room issue to be the reason that the team is trying to win, I think it's interesting. And it's showing on the field. The Smitty asking if I only wear turtlenecks. Not only. On this show, yes. Otherwise, sometimes.
He's branding. This is his look. You understand? Like, in his real life, he wears all leather.
And a collar.
Right.
Right. But no, I actually do wear turtlenecks, especially in the winter. I'm the big sweater or turtleneck under a sweater guy.
I would be disturbed if I saw you in a t-shirt. I almost wouldn't like it.
I wear mock necks even. Like
this is good. Like, stick with this. It's a good look for you. You have a nice look about you. You're a nice looking young man. You got a nice beard. You look artsy fartsy. Stick with this. It works. Imagine I was sitting there like this and we switched outfits. Give me a break. Come on. This is good for you.
I think you look great in a turtleneck.
Yeah. I mean, I have pictures of me in a turtleneck from 100 years ago. And I mean, it was almost like they used to call it, you ever heard the term Guido? You know what a Guido is?
I have heard the term.
Yeah, so back in like Long Island in like the 90s, like these like sort of stereotypical Italian, I'm not Italian,
Yeah.
but like Jewish guys that want to look Italian, they used to call them Jugeens. They had
Okay.
this Guido look where you'd have the turtleneck on, and then you'd have like a gold chain over the top of the turtleneck, like on the chest.
Yeah,
So
Joe Burrow.
there you go. Except he looks cool when he does it.
Well, Joe Burrow just looks awesome. Joe Burrow. He's
Yes.
Joe Cool. He's literally Joe Cool.
Yeah, he's almost mocking the look in a sense, whereas I thought I was like serious with that look.
I'm sure you looked great with it. I want to dig up those pictures. I think new Twitter profile picture might be underway, Alan.
Oh my God.
Now, speaking of your reactions to the past of wearing a turtleneck, I want to get some of your reactions to the season so far.
Yep.
And we'll start with accountability time. What's a take you had this offseason that, you know, you're starting to feel a little bit worried about?
Oh man, there's so many, but the big on my redraft teams, full disclosure, are doing so badly this year, and I've never done bad. I've always been like, okay, I could at least figure it out. It's because a lot of the leagues I play in at least had like a little bit of a premium for tight end, Jason, like either 1.5 or 2.0, just making redraft a little more spicy. So I went heavy tight end, like Trey McBride, Dalton Kincaid, both on the same team. Like, so a lot of my teams are quote bully tight end. So obviously with all the tight ends doing poorly, I was like, why are my teams doing so crappy this year? It's because I loaded up on Dalton Kincaid. I thought for sure he was going to be like, get the Travis Kelce peppering 12 targets off the bus type of thing. So, man, did I misread elite tight ends. Now, the good news is in some of those big bully tight end teams, Jason, is that I got Travis Kelce, and I think where Travis Kelce is back. Like if we're doing rest of season rankings, he's tight end 1.
Yeah, I think that he just had 9 targets, I think, last week, which is very Travis Kelce of him. Seems to be back on track with Rashee Rice out, so I agree with you there.
What was your biggest swing and miss?
A lot of them. Also, tight
biggest
end
one.
Big one.
Yeah,
the biggest one is probably, and now it's going to end up being okay. But I was a big I don't want Jordan Mason guy. I was avoiding Jordan Mason when the hype was bubbling up.
He was like a 15th round pick, or he was a free pickup. I'm not free. You paid for him.
I know, but like,
come on, man. That's a bullshit miss. Give me a real miss.
Sorry, dude. I didn't miss a lot. What do you want from me? I was like drafting I guess Kyle Pitts is maybe a big miss, but I don't know if you can classify that yet.
No, it's a big miss. That's a big miss. Yeah. Because the one game that he went off is he was on your bench.
No, not me. No.
Oh, okay. All right.
I do not bench Kyle Pitts. No.
That's fair.
No, I mean he's tied in 4 right now. I think he could turn it around. Maybe I guess like I was I don't know. I was avoiding Tyreek Hill. I was avoiding Christian McCaffrey. I was avoiding CeeDee Lamb.
Who's your favorite first round pick? Your favorite first round?
But I think that's still going to be fine. That was fine. I was still drafting Justin Jefferson, so I'm feeling good about that. In the second round, I was going Saquon. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
That's fair. All right, let's move on then. Let's move on. I love. Yeah, I mean, like I said, for me, it was definitely being overly aggressive on tight end, which is I don't normally do that. I just thought like that was an edge this year, and not only was it not an edge, it was a negative EV play.
There's still time. I think
Trey McBride
will turn it around for sure.
It's bad. It's bad. Yeah. There's no way that's paying off.
Dalton Kincaid hurts for sure, but I think McBride, your Kelce shares. Maybe you got Hawkinson for some of these teams. You know,
my team is like dead man walking. By the way, I still set my lineups when my team is dead because I don't want like someone to get that cheap win. I advise everyone to do that.
Yeah, definitely still set your lineups, guys. I mean, it's easy these days. Sleeper gives you a notification if you're starting inactive players. Just click that button.
You don't need Sleeper. Either you're an asshole who doesn't set your lineups, or you care about your fellow human and you set them.
I like how
everyone knows they have fantasy teams, you know?
Either you hate your league and you hate people, or you love your league and you love people. And those are the only 2 options there. Now, to the opposite. Yeah. A little bit of a victory lap. What's your take you're feeling great about?
The video I made for Player Profiler, and I got pushback even internally from your guys, was I put out a video in the draft kit that said Chase should be the 101. Jamar Chase should be the 101 in all drafts. And this was back in May. I put this out. And you know, like, oh, wow, you said Chase should be a first round pick. Oh, yeah, that's such a bold take. No. Chase was like the 6th, 8th, 9th pick, right? And then I said the 101. I said, and the rationale that I gave, Jason, was that all these receivers seem to have like the big year, like CeeDee Lamb's from week 7 on, or whenever it was. Justin Jefferson the year before. It was Chase's turn. He had been in the league for 3 or 4 years. He'd been wide receiver 5, wide receiver 12. Like, he'd never had that like monster year. And right now, despite the little bit slow start, he is the number. If we did a redraft for the rest of the season, Chase would be the first overall pick. I don't even think it's like a question at this point. So my victory lap is Chase 101. I took some heat for it. I even had a guy hit that video at Player Profiler on one of the comments and say after week 2, oh, how's this looking now? I said, dude, it's week 2, and now obviously that's looking good. So that was my best pick, was taking Chase, forcing him in the first round.
I love that. I mean, why were people fading Jamar Chase? I don't know.
Because he had never done it before. Even internally at like RotoWire, the guys were saying, well, if the teams have adjusted, they play too high shell. Look, Chase still even has more upside right now on 6 catches. He like takes it to the house every time. So imagine if he gets 10 catches. Is it going to be 400 yards in a game? It's, obviously exaggeration for clarification there.
You know what, Alan? I'm going to take that take right now and say that Jamar Chase has a 300-yard receiving game this year.
I mean, let's go, baby. To the moon.
He does it. Yeah. He does it twice. He has two 300-yard games.
It's a good thing. I was about to spit out my coffee.
All right, man. Those are some good takes that you had so far. Give me.
What was your best take?
Jamison Williams.
That's a good one.
Jamison Williams, definitely. Too much Jamison Williams, but I don't care. I'm happy about it right now. Now, give me one more thought so far. A player that's impressed you, disappointed, someone you're keeping an eye on, but just, a little takeaway from this season so far that you weren't expecting.
Yeah, I don't think we need to dig too deep, right? Like, the guy who's impressed me the most here was Kyren Williams, right? Like, we saw it last year. Traditionally, a guy like that would be a top 5 pick. The fantasy football ADP pushes him into the 3rd round because of, hey, he's going to return punts. Hey, he can't hold up. Hey, they drafted Blake Corum. And there still was some ADP resistance there, like people that no one took him in the 1st round. But if you started your draft like Nico Collins, Kyren Williams up until this point, you're obviously in 1st place. So he has been the most impressive. This guy was like a 5th round pick. All the measurables were terrible. And meanwhile, like all this guy does is give you 100-yard games and a touchdown. He has been the most impressive player in the NFL and in fantasy football.
Hard to argue against that. I mean, everything stacked against him. No athleticism, Blake Corum, Rams not looking as good this year. Like, how could he get it done? Why would you be drafting him in the 2nd, 3rd round?
Jason, would you mind if I took a pee break? Just keep it going for 1 second here.
Yeah.
All right. I'm quick though. I pee so quick it's gonna blow your mind. Watch this.
Alan, the proficient pisser. You're live on the show, but he is right about Kyren Williams, guys. We've talked about it a few times where we wanted Blake Corum, but we felt that people were getting a bit too over their skis as it pertains to Blake Corum taking the job from Kyren Williams. When a player shows that they can play ball, they're more than likely gonna keep playing ball. Now, I will concede, I do still think that Blake Corum will be splitting at some point, maybe making this a 70-30 by the end of the year. We saw the carry start to go his way last week. Hopefully it keeps trending that way where Corum can take over for Ronnie Rivers. I think he has at this point, but either way, Kyren Williams looking like a really good draft pick for those of you that did it. I know not a lot of us did at Player Profiler, but definitely a good draft pick and a big surprise so far this year. And Paulo, you want to know if you should trade Breece Hall for Kyren?
I feel so much better right now. Oh my God. Good. That was ridiculous.
You are a very quick pisser.
And that was like actually a lot. My wife goes, that was a long one. You see, I'm normally pee a lot quicker than that.
Do you just split up your peas? Like, do you a half a pee now and a half a pee later?
So I've had this discussion with my urologist before, right? Is that I pee so much. So obviously I thought there was something wrong, but he just said you have a small gas tank. He's like, you have a small bladder.
No, I suffer from that too, Alan. I had to go to the doctor in high school because my mom was like, you were peeing way too much, and did all the tests, all the blood work. And they're like, no, you just.
Yeah. I mean, and you drink a lot of coffee, right? Coffee's it makes you pee a lot.
And water. Obviously. I drink at least a gallon of water a day.
Oh, good.
Okay. I love water.
Yeah. Gallon of water. I think that's exactly. Is that right, Stacey? Is that the right amount you're supposed to drink? A gallon? Half of your body weight, she said, in water a day is the proper amount. In ounces.
That's a lot of water. In ounces. pounds. Like that's a lot of pounds.
How much do you weigh, Jason?
140.
He weighs 140. So he's supposed to drink 70 ounces a day? 70 ounces a day.
How many
and
gallons?
A gallon is 64.
Okay, yeah, so there we go.
There you go.
Right there. I'm killing
right.
it.
I mean, that's ideal. I mean, no one's going to do the ideal thing.
I am. I fill this thing up probably like 6 times, and this is a 32. So that's a lot more than 70 ounces. So a water drinker right here.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. And we had a great discussion on Kyren. Somebody asked if they would trade Breece Hall for Kyren right before you got back. I would say no.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's do it like this. If we redrafted for the rest of the season today, where would Breece Hall get drafted?
I mean, I would. People overreact to me. I would still take Breece Hall, maybe not the first round, but after Bijan, after Saquon.
What round? Third round, probably. Yeah, I think you would be the early man. I wouldn't take him till the 4th, but that's fine. I asked Theo last night. He said third round. So, but Kyren Williams would be a top 7 pick.
Yeah, I mean, he would be up there. I don't know. I still think Breece Hall could turn it around. I think the Jets offense, you're a Jets fan, right?
Yeah.
They've just been bad the last couple of weeks. I think
like if they come out on Buffalo and Breece has 130 yards and a touchdown, like, all is forgiven type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, that's probably exactly what's going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So looking ahead now to week 6, what's a player that you will definitely be starting and or sitting?
In week 6?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're so going down the line, right? Like, I know Baker Mayfield, he's like in the consensus ranking is outside of the top 12. But, man, what else does he have to do, right? He's QB2 on the year. I know New Orleans, I mean, it's not the ideal matchup here, but I just, if you have him and like last week, it was, do I start Geno Smith or do I start Patrick Mahomes? I got that question all week. And the answer was Geno Smith, right? And you would have to have balls to do it. I did not. So we're going to get those questions again. You're going to get Justin Fields at Las Vegas or Baker Mayfield. It's going to be an easy call for a lot of people. I just think that Baker Mayfield, you shove him into your lineup. I have one team in Dynasty, Jason, where I have Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and Baker Mayfield, right? You can only start 2. So I have not benefited from Mayfield at all. All his points have come on my bench, except for last week when Jalen Hurts had so he is my must start. Figure out a way to shove him in your lineup.
I love that call. That's a good one. What about us? Do you have anyone you're sitting?
Oh, God, man. So you look at like Deontay Johnson right here, who's in the top 12 in a lot. And I really need him to happen, but man, am I scared, right? Like you see how bad it can go. So if you have Deontay Johnson, unless, I mean, I would sit him. He's in a lot of the top 12, top 15 ranks. And there's so many guys like Tank Dell. I'd rather start Tank Dell than Deontay Johnson right now.
I love that call. AJ Terrell, very good against wide receiver ones. And the Falcons defense in general has been, kind of making some pressure lately. I could see Andy Dalton having another floor game. That's a good one. Now, what's a player you're just kind of keeping your eye on? Just you really want to see how they perform this week in particular. You may be even tuning into that game specifically for that player. Yeah,
it's not. It was this week. I just wanted to. Well, obviously the Jets situation, right? Like that is like right there. I want to see how that all shakes out because. But you're talking about like a little bit further down the list is J.K. Dobbins, right? They're coming off the bye here. He's been like one of the most interesting stories of the season so far for fantasy, right? Like he's not a high profile. So I'm not like 100% confident in Dobbins moving forward. It seems like they're going to chip away at him every week. So I'm starting to stash the Kamani Vidals again. I'm starting to stash, even Hassan Haskins, right? Because so I just want to take a look at the Chargers as they come off the bye here. And Dobbins is a good story for the first month of the season. But if you're talking about running backs that could be starters in 2-3 weeks in an offense as soon as Joe Alt comes back for the Chargers. So I'm keeping an eye on the backfield of the Chargers. How about you?
That's a really good call. We've talked, I'll say for me, Tank Dell is probably the player I'll be watching the most, but we've talked about him so much this show. I want to talk about the Chargers, though. You're right. And a really good point to your stash. Everyone listening right now, Gus Edwards has not practiced this week. He missed Wednesday. He missed Thursday. Probably going to miss today and probably not play. Then we're going to see probably Hassan Haskins, unfortunately. But Kamani Vidal might get activated.
Remember, Haskins wasn't he there at Michigan when Harbaugh was there?
He had he was a Heisman finalist
Yeah. So
ran for like 200 yards against Ohio State, was a big part of that Michigan success. Literally made Zach Charbonnet transfer. The reason Zach Charbonnet went to UCLA is because of Hassan Haskins. And so there's definitely some potential there.
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt if J.K. Dobbins is like, basically healthy, that he's the best running back there. But, when you need a win in week 11, and I know it's hard to, everyone says stash everybody. You can only pick like 2 or 3 guys because you have, a bench to worry about and bye weeks and all that stuff. But yeah, so Haskins is someone that, because of that backfield.
Yeah, Haskins and Vidal Sassoon still on the menu, guys. Still on the menu.
Right.
Everything. This has been one of the more frustrating storylines for me this season. Actually, it's just how all offseason everyone's drafting Kamani Vidal because Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins struggle to stay healthy, and they haven't been injured yet, so everyone's freaking out. But the calculus is still the same. We're still waiting for the injury. We have the Gus Edwards injury now. Probably, unfortunately, knock on wood, we don't really want it to happen, but J.K. Dobbins probably going to happen at some point too. So get your Chargers running backs. I like that call. Is there anyone that you could maybe pick up this week to stream? Like if you're really, really desperate that you're looking at this week?
Oh, if Darius Slayton wasn't picked up last week, it looks like, he had the big game, plus, over 100 yards. Was it 8 catches? And Malik Neighbors, everyone assumed he was going to be back this week, Jason, but man, those concussions, not everyone responds the same way, right? So if he misses, even if he doesn't miss, it's like I never understood why they rolled Darius Slayton out, who's only 27 years old on the Giants.
Dude, really?
He has a great game, and then they put him back in the closet again, right? Like this is working. You can't just like pepper Wan'Dale Robinson for 14 catches every game and expect to win. So Slayton's out there. He's a plug and play, right? Like I can't imagine in a lot of our 12-team leagues, you have many better players with that much upside. You'll find floor players that are on your roster, right? Like if you could take it back, wouldn't you want to play him over Brandon Ayuk? I know that's, that's Monday morning quarterback stuff there, but Slayton is my sleeper to pick up and play if he's available in your league.
I like that. That's a fun call. That is a very fun call. Let's move on to the money moves. This is my favorite part of the show. This is where we can really help the people listening make some of the moves on their team, whether it be buy, sells, or even just like we mentioned with the Chargers backfield, a player to stash to kind of help them out over the next half of the season. We'll start with stashes. Someone other than the Chargers running back. Who's someone you'd be throwing on your bench right now?
Isn't the most obvious guy Blake Corum, right? Like, is that too, right? Because he was probably dropped. He's on a bye, right? Someone might not be able to hold him if he's out there. Mm-hmm. And we just talked about Kyron Williams. At some point, he's going to miss a week or two, right? And then the good thing about Corum, Jason, was he moved ahead of Ronnie Rivers last week. He had six opportunities, Ronnie Rivers 0. So that's the sign. He didn't break out, so he's not like the hot waiver wire pickup. So Corum would be the number one most obvious stash. Who's your stash? Because I need some guys here.
Yeah, that's going to be one of them. Really, I'm trying to stash all the rookie running backs right now. The ones that we have.
Jalen
Wright, Trey Benson, I think is another good one. It was Tyrone Tracy, Kamani Vidal, Marshawn Lloyd. He'll be coming off IR next week. Really, all of those guys. Wide receiver department, we're still holding on to Ryan Flournoy.
Right.
I think DJ Chark also, I think, is a very interesting one. Very, very interesting one because that's a part of the Chargers offense that they're missing. They are missing that. And Justin Herbert can take those deep shots. I know he's available in literally 99% of leagues. And I think that's a fun one that I think people are kind of glossing over right now is DJ Chark.
Now, I have not stashed any of the following players I'm about just to rip off. Are you interested in any of like the Jermaine Burtons, Malachi Corley types? Yeah, I'm not either. Or just who are some of those other receivers there?
I finally dropped Andre Yoshivas in redraft.
Yeah, I'm talking about in specifically the rookies. Like,
oh yeah,
none of them, right? Like those guys that were going in that range. It's just
Devontae Walker. I'm having to look at myself in the mirror about a lot recently.
Yeah, how about McMillan? You want him at all?
Yeah, I think I would hold on to McMillan because I think there is some upside there. Mike Evans is up there in age, and they're scoring, right? This wide receiver 3 in Tampa Bay is scoring. Sterling Shepard, a touchdown last week. Trey Palmer, a touchdown when he filled in for Jalen McMillan before his concussion. Jalen McMillan has the touchdown as well. So, they're clearly utilizing that receiver. So I would still stash Jalen McMillan.
And you mentioned Polk. I think that's a very sharp call out right there. I love that you said him in the beginning of the podcast. And Luke McCaffrey, if you like Washington, you like Jaden Daniels, you have to at least be interested in putting him on your bench because if he has the big game, he's gonna cost you fab right now. If you have room, and again, most of us play in leagues with 5 or 6 bench spots. You can't stash everybody. You got to pick which one or two of these guys you like.
Yeah, I love the Luke McCaffrey call. That was another one this offseason. Him and Jaden Daniels were, studying the playbook together, going to practice like 3 hours early, doing all of that stuff. So I think that connection should blossom throughout the season. So that's another good stash, but not the Malachi Corley, not the Jermaine Burton. You guys can keep. You guys can keep those. Now, a player further up, you would have to trade for this player. But if you could buy one player right now, you were given infinite money glitch, what would you do? Who would you get?
Yeah, I think that Tyreek Hill is buyable, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Tua is supposedly coming back. Jalen Waddle is certainly buyable, right? I mean, you're going to have to, in a redraft setting, you're going to have to give away Bucky Irving, right? Like Bucky Irving gets a clarified start this week. You might be able to get, if someone needs a running back, you might be able to get Jalen Waddle for him, who's been horrendous. Breece Hall, if you want to, give up Chris Olave and something else, you might be, if you believe in him still. So it's all those guys in the first and second round that have not performed. It's not that you're going to buy low. It's that you'll be able, someone wants out, right? So I think you just go through the ADP. If you believe in any of these guys and you have a player like a Chris Godwin who's been performing, it's not going to feel comfortable because you're paying a guy who's producing now for someone who hasn't produced yet.
Yeah. It's tough. It's always tough to make those moves, but that's kind of how the season works. A lot of these players that break out early in the season do start to slow down in the second half.
Would you give Godwin for Breece Hall?
Yeah. I would do that. Now, that is always the dynasty lens probably overpowering me.
Redraft.
No, I know that. I'm just saying that like the dynasty lens is overpowering that thought process. I very much struggle switching in and out of that, but I would still do it. I believe Breece Hall can turn it around, and I believe Aaron Rodgers will turn it around as well. And I'm not a big Aaron Rodgers guy. I think that we're overreacting right now to a couple bad games. So yeah, I would get Breece Hall. Bijan Robinson, another big buy for me. And guys, if you want more buys, we did do a market watch episode on Wednesday, and I had no sells. It was just 8 players to buy. Normally we have a sell or two, but I'm feeling some good market timing here, guys. So go check out that episode on Wednesday, the market watch for my top 8 buys of the week. Now, Alan, who's a player you're selling?
Oh man, all my tight ends, get them off my damn team, right? Yeah, I mean, so when we say selling, it's like, okay, you think that this guy is pretty much peaked at where he's going to be, right? So, Rashid Shaheed, if you could sell off some of that production, right? I think Xavier Worthy off of these unsustainable like gimmick plays, I think is a decent guy who's got some name value. I think you can get a running back if you need some running back help. If you sell any of those guys, the obvious one is Alec Pierce, unsustainable. Although I love what he's doing right here. And on the running back side, man, it probably Rachaad White. If he misses a game, forget it. You can't get out of him here. Just looking down the list, James Conner, man, all he does is produce, and I don't know who you'd even trade him for, but man, does that feel like it's on a little bit of shaky ground right there? And then, I mean, I'm just looking down our list right here. I'm holding on to the Barkleys, the Kamaras, the Henrys, James Cook, right? Once that injury seal is broken a little bit, I'm not sure I want him. So if somebody wants to, again, I keep using Chris Godwin because he was a late round. If you want to, would you sell James Cook for, if you needed a wide receiver, would you sell James Cook right now, even if he misses a game, for Jameson Williams? Or is that running back too valuable?
You are tugging at my heartstrings right there. James Cook has been a sell of mine, so I do kind of want to get out from under him. Now, it's going to be tough with this injury. Looking like he's not going to play, so it'll be tough to do it this week. But Jameson Williams, I would try to get a little bit more, like ask for like a handcuff running back or something to kind of close that gap. But I do firmly believe in JMO. I think he can keep this pace going the rest of season. And especially if I need a wide receiver, I think I would be making that move.
All right. Then
what about
agreement there. I told you I'm trying to get James Cook. Like I feel like I landed on like found money there. But again, I just worry once that injury seal is broken, like what you could do. So, and then in the tight end department, certainly not selling Travis Kelce, but the Tucker Kraft thing is like the weird one, right? Like right now you could actually sell Tucker Kraft for Mark Andrews, there's so many guys that you could sell. Tucker, there's a market for Tucker Kraft right now. So is he a buy or a sell for you?
I am thinking I'm buying. I
Right.
think in Dynasty, in redraft, depending on my tight end.
Yeah, redraft, because you know what? Everyone has such tight end, like no matter who you drafted, other than the 3 or 4 guys, the Jake Ferguson, everyone's desperate right now. Like the only guy who's like, yeah, I'm okay, is the Pat Fryermuth owner. But man, if you're the Andrews owner and you've been starting like Colby Parkinson, if you're just like, oh my God, I've been starting Hunter Henry, I've been rolling out Cade Otton at times.
Yeah.
Kraft is a player that has a market, and that market might go away if he has a down game.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, if you could get like the top of the end, because I am still buying Mark Andrews, like that's one. If you could get into the elite tight end tier from Tucker Kraft, I would do it. But I mean, like I feel like in a dynasty, you might be able to get him for like a second.
No, it ain't happening.
You don't think so?
That's probably what he's worth, but you're not because the guy who has him, it's just like, thank God I found a solution. Now, if you and I would pair up nicely, because I would trade you Andrews for Kraft.
Okay, see, there we go.
Yeah, so I think that's a trade that can get done.
We need to be in more leagues together, Alan.
I know, we'd match up perfectly.
Now, I see index of suspicion saying that Kraft only exists because Musgrave is injured, and I would like to push back against that. Week 1, they were both healthy, and they both had a very similar target share. Last year, we kind of saw a lot of the same too when they were both out there. Tucker Kraft was involved. Tucker Kraft has played so well. I think he's taken the starting job from Luke Musgrave. I don't think Musgrave is coming back to the targets that he had. I think Kraft has earned the tight end 1. Podfather on Top 10 Takeaways this week said that it's kind of the Mark Andrews, Hayden Hurst situation where the tight end drafted after has just taken over. He looks too good, I think. And now he's going to be landing on IR, or at least trending towards. So I think
there's a couple of those situations, right? Like what are the other ones been where we saw the first player get drafted ends up being not as good as the second one? So Andrews and Hurst is the ultimate example. I guess in the quarterback world, RG3 and Kirk Cousins, right? I mean, although
I knew the quarterback one, I couldn't replace it there.
What else in tight end? Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple, right, where the guy, I mean, Isaiah Likely and Charlie, wasn't it Likely a second pick? Didn't they get another guy? Was Kohler the higher pick?
I think Kohler was before him, actually. Yeah, I think you are right.
So sometimes that happens.
It's interesting. It is.
Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams.
There you go. Wow. There you go. Nice one.
Jamal was a 3rd round pick. Aaron Jones was a 5th round pick.
Yeah. Wow. Crazy stuff in the NFL. Anything could happen, guys. Just like Ryan Flournoy is going to happen this year. Alan, been a fantastic show. Awesome chopping it up with you from anal to proficient pissing to now. The hot take for your rest of the season. Alan, what you got for us?
I expect anal and proficient pissing to be one of the chapter timestamps in this thing. Okay, I expect people to be able to go find that right away. No, you're A+ show right here, A+ hosting. You know, I think the world of you. I admire what you do. Your consistency, your quality, your dedication, you care. So, obviously, I have a lot of admiration for you. For me, you want to follow anything I do at Alan Seslowsky. The one thing I'll promote is every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern time. If you have SiriusXM radio, we're on the air Sunday morning, game day, doing all the normal game day stuff. So that's the only thing I'll promote today.
Awesome. Now give us a hot take for the rest of the year to take us away.
Okay, hot take for the rest of the year. Wow. Okay, ready?
Yes.
Mike Gesicki. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Jake Ferguson. This is not super hot. This is medium hot, right? Jake Ferguson finishes as the overall tight end 1.
Ooh, there we go, guys.
That's not that hot, right? That's not that hot.
It's kind of hot,
All right, I'll give you one. I got one. This is good. This is good. Kenneth Walker is the number 1 running back drafted in 2025 because of his rest of season performance.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to PlayerProfiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.